Hi, good afternoon. It's Jason Wampler, your host for another episode of the Rocket Minute. We're just going to keep building these rockets. A little of color commentary. I'm still struggling with Amazon. I'm trying to get an account with Amazon. It's a real pain in the ass. I'm not sure if they do this on purpose, or if it's just bad luck, or it's just the fact that I don't fully understand latest technologies with regards to transferring files, uploading images, and whatnot, and so forth. If you go for a basic Amazon account, and you don't have the newest, latest, greatest phone, a good Wi-Fi, you don't have experience, it's probably going to end up taking you about anywhere from 2 to 3 days to figure it out. I just don't understand why they're. I'm not really complaining. I like Jeff Bezos. I like Amazon, but my first encounter with Amazon, I did actually want to try and get a job with them, and that was about probably 3 or 4 years ago. Actually, no, probably about 2 years ago, when there was this great push for Amazon hiring people, and supposedly, as the news said, they were hiring thousands and thousands of people. Well, I responded to an ad, and I got the information. It's not that the information wasn't updated or past date, because it gave me a future date, a date that was in the future past the time that I encountered the ad to show up for group interviews. I showed up on time. I showed up to the address, and it was the strangest, darndest thing. It was a very large building. It was under construction. It said something about Amazon on it, but there are no instructions on where to go. I didn't see any cars in the parking lot. I didn't see people anywhere. And when I went to call the number that you called in case you had any problems, call this support number, it had either been disconnected or it wasn't working. So that was my first encounter. It was a rather negative experience, because I had spent up to that time about an hour and a half on the road driving around to find this address, just to make the determination that I could have gotten there from my house in Costa Mesa probably within a half an hour or even less. But for whatever reason, Google Maps or Quest like to take me the long way around and help me spend an extra hour of gas, after hour of my time and gas and driving to get there. So the day wasn't going very well. But when I showed up to that Amazon hiring event, I was there on time at the location they specified. I may have been about maybe 5 minutes late, maybe at the most 10 minutes late. But come on, we're I'm looking for a job as a warehouse worker for Amazon. I was at least a little bit apprehensive, but somewhat excited about it. When I showed up, like I said, the place had been set up for mass interviews, but there was no one there. There were no cars there, no instructions. It was a very, very unusual building with a front entrance, no windows, like a warehouse building. I don't know how things are set up on Amazon's end, but if you can't interface with the technology, Jeff, I think you're a great guy. I sing your praises, but maybe you want to monitor your people sometimes and really kind of get to the bottom of some of the issues that your website has, that your hiring process has. I don't know what to tell you. I have not been able to successfully go through one Amazon interview, because I believe I tried a couple more times, and I think at least one more time, and again, it didn't pan out. It wasn't at the address, or the event had been shut down. Again, I was late by about 5 or 10 minutes, but if they'd closed the door, they had a bunch of people there, which I'm assuming they would, several hundred interviewees for a new job. All positions would be filled. And, but now I'm having a problem with Amazon Seller Central. You can't call customer service just off the internet. You have to be in Amazon Seller Central. But when you go on their website to sign up, you have to complete the process of becoming an Amazon seller to gain entrance to Amazon Seller, to get to that phone number that offers customer service. So now it's like they're purposely building a high-rise building with no front door. So what do? Well, I guess I land on the roof with a helicopter at $5,000 an hour. I don't know what to do. So Jeff, again, you might want to review the process by which you intake people. For one reason or another, I have plenty of talents to offer, not necessarily as a warehouse worker or manager, but as somebody who designs airframe rocket airframe and propulsion units. I'd be really happy to work with you. I think you're a great guy. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. I can't walk on water, etc., etc. My name is Jason Wampler. The name of the company is WAKA, Wampler Advanced Commercial Aerospace. It has been that name for a long time. This is my YouTube channel video. I shoot once a day for about a half an hour to an hour. I have to abbreviate today's video because I have another video conference at 7:30 p.m. I won't talk about that. It's fun. It's serious, but it's fun. But anyway, you know, if Amazon, if you can't make yourself user friendly, if you can't make yourself accessible, then just come out and say, temporarily unable to hire any more employees at this time. We are sorry, but we will keep your resume on file for future opportunities. Now it's like people, whoever's running the show, now it's like people have to make things balled up and complicated. Now it's like people don't even want to deal with posting a sign that says no vacancy because it requires just the slightest amount of courage. I don't understand it. If you're not hiring, don't hire. If you don't want any more sellers on Amazon, then just put up a sign that says, sorry, we're membership for sellers, individual sellers, and premium and business sellers on Amazon. We're maxed out. We don't want to grow beyond our britches. Customer service and quality control go down the tube. It's happening to eBay. It's happening to OfferUp. I understand. You grow beyond your britches. You're imperfect. You lose control. You can't manage. Well, Amazon is so popular, and I respect them for that. But you know, again, this whole process where I have to get just the right bandwidth, just the right Wi-Fi, and now the next thing you know, they're going to do technical upgrades, and now you're only going to be able to apply for a job at Amazon in an area that carries 5G. So if you want, this is typical with most all American corporations. And the reason American corporations are failing wholesale is because of the process by which people have to go through to make contact with them to offer their services, either as an independent vendor supplier or contractor or someone who may be a talented employee. Well, if you make things so hard that nobody's ever going to get in, you're not going to get any talent. If you're not going to get any talent, your product line is going to suffer. It's just as simple as that. But for whatever reason, people don't understand that. My guess is that maybe these corporations, including now, it's starting with Amazon, as it has been with Ford and Chevy and other American corporations. Now it looks like, Jeff, you're turning your company over to a bunch of people who have more feelings that they're guarding jealously. They're playing politics. It's like a high school schoolyard, or it's like a Politburo. Now people are playing politics with your company, Jeff. You can't let that happen. The moment corporate executives start playing politics is the moment everybody takes their eye off the ball, assumes that Amazon is a fixture that will never die. And Jeff, you and I know you're self-employed. You're an entrepreneur. As unsuccessful as I am, I'm still an entrepreneur at heart. I know one thing for certain. You can't be kicking around the talent like that. You can't close the doors. You can't let customer service slide. I'm constantly trying to improve my product, which are these videos to teach people how to build rockets. You know, I have to improve. I can't let things backslide. I have to move forward. I have to improve. Improve customer service. I have to improve the product. Not just for the sake of money, but just for the want of doing the right thing, enjoying the fruitages of success. And Jeff, the people you're hiring are now becoming dead weight. Mr. Jeff Bezos, my name is Jason Wampler. I'm a designer, engineer, and I also as an automotive mechanic. And I will tell you right now, for one thing for certain, if you don't deliver on customer service, if you don't deliver on an outstanding product, your business will suffer. It will reflect that change in your business culture immediately. It will translate immediately. You will start to see a decline in sales and customer loyalty immediately. Immediately. You don't have to wait. People don't have faith in anything anymore. The moment somebody they trusted for years or decades screws up, that's it. They go overseas. They go somewhere else. There's so many people offering the same thing. I like Amazon. I like your image. I like your serviceability. I like the products you offer. It just seems like everybody's behind the same set of rows. They're all rowing the same direction. But now you have people that have lackadaisical attitudes, and they want to play politics with with the customers and with these individual sellers. Now they want to create hoops just because they feel like doing it. And Jeff, you and I, as entrepreneurs, we don't understand that mentality. I still have yet to understand why people want to go around and make enemies out of their neighbors. Well, I don't like you, so I'm going to make an enemy with you. Who cares if you don't like them? Life is a lot easier if all your neighbors are friends, or at least on a friendly basis. Why are you going to go ahead and take a poo-poo where you eat and make enemies with your upstairs neighbor? Well, people just naturally do that. They're non-entrepreneurs. They drink too much. They're under the influence of mental non-athleticism, mental overweightness, or whatever you want, mental laziness, or whatever you want to call it. But their eye is not on the ball. They're in it for themselves and their paycheck. They don't worry about you, Jeff. They don't worry about the progress, the profitability, and the image of your company because they don't have that mindset. They don't care. And the fact that I've had to attempt to sign up for an Amazon account not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times. This is the 5th time I've spent a collective total, I kid you not, a collective total of 18 hours just to set up one basic seller's account. And I can't seem to make my phone work, the local Wi-Fi work, the Wi-Fi in my house to work, the Wi-Fi in Fullerton Library to work. I can't seem to upload documents, and the document uploading process resets every time I have to get it. It's great that the application process brings me to that point, but it resets. I think I can go to Starbucks to upload pictures of my driver's license, but I can't contact the DMV to get some type of computer document of the images on my driver's license. I don't think California State DMV offers that type of service. So what do? So the folks at Amazon, which I'm almost positive Amazon is based in California, but I'm not absolutely positive. So what if somebody there decides to arbitrarily change things and just make things harder for people because they feel like it or they're in a bad mood? How am I going to pitch the DMV of the state of California for digitized images, or for an image of the front and back of my driver's license in PDF doc or PDFG or PDRes or whatever computer program the very, 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 very finicky, finite, fussy, meticulous, petulant programmers of the website for individual sellers with basic accounts to sign up? What do they want? Well, I'm trying to figure that out. My phone's trying to figure that out. The Wi-Fi in my house is trying to figure that out. My phone's Wi-Fi is figuring it out. I'm with Metro by T-Mobile. Even the Wi-Fi at Starbucks has a hard time with it, but it can kind of plow through. And I can upload my pictures of my driver's license, so it's not really a problem at Starbucks. But I've gone from my house to my car to Starbucks twice, to Fullerton Library once, total of 18 hours, and I still can't get past this first step. And I understand if you don't want to verify because you have blurry documents, but now we actually need digital files of those documents so everything's readable. I understand that, but make the technology and the website that supports the technology more user-friendly and accessible. Otherwise, you're not going to get any new sellers. I don't plan on staying a basic seller. I would like to be a gold or platinum or titanium seller on Amazon. Amazon's a ticket, but it's no longer accessible. The technology is layered on top of technology, on top of technology that it's no longer compatible. The technology is progressive. Communications, cell phone, smartphone technology is changing. 4G has gone to 5G. Great. I think it's wonderful. The whole industry, though, needs to get together and standardize things, and they're not doing that. People who develop platforms, operating systems, and such and so forth on the websites for Amazon. Jeff, if you want to garner talent, if you want to get good sellers and make more money for Amazon online, then you need to be able to make the process to where it's user-friendly, accessible, and well-developed. Not improve things in stages and layers as things improve. Then you're stacking up Jenga. Then you're stacking up a Jenga sideways. And it's not going to. Jenga needs to go straight up and down. According to the laws of gravity, if you try to set up a Jenga tower and it's pointing sideways at a 45-degree angle, because new technology is dying, but you're laying newer technology on top of that, the block's going to fall over. That's just the laws of physics. People can't deal with this clunky technology, and you're incredibly, incredibly petulant, finite, frustratingly fussy web and platform designers. what they're trying to do for you is giving you a bad name. It's making me frustrated. And I got to tell you, Jeff, I'd love to establish a working relationship with you, but I can't. You're not accessible. You need talent. You need to make yourself accessible. Okay, I'm designing, engineering, and building rockets online. It's called The Rocket Minute. I'd love to share my rocket design with you, some philosophies on how to really lower costs and keep the costs of micro launch vehicles, medium launch vehicles, large launch vehicles, sounding rockets, etc. ad nauseum, and keep it down. There's a way to do things when you get through the process and you're patient enough and you provide me with a reasonable amount of resource enough, you get for the first 5 or 10 years. You complete your research, you have an entire collection of data and research on which to base things, and then from there you set up maybe 5 years, maybe 3 years. I don't know what the heck everybody's in a hurry for. Engineering takes time, but we engineer the engineering process after we engineer the product for maximum efficiency, least amount of weight, greatest amount of strength, and lowest cost. But that takes time, that takes engineering talent, and that requires resources. But again, you need the talent. I'm one of many people that could be really helping you out, Jeff, but we can't do it. Your underlings are messing up. I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm not going to use profanity anymore because it's unprofessional and it casts a pallor on my credibility, so I'm not going to do that. But if you want to access the talent, you want to pluck the talent off from the street, the kind of talent that's worth it to invest in. People who are loyal to you because they like you. Jeff, you still have a positive image. Elon Musk, competition, I got to tell you, I wouldn't align with that guy. He's being shown up to be a nut job, and now the baton's being passed on to Dr. Jordan Peterson. I don't know what the hell's up with that. I think he's making some knee-jerk decisions right now, but that's just not me. I'm not into politics or social sensationalism or religion. I'm into building rockets. I design rockets. If I had the resource, I design propulsion systems based on use lithium-ion batteries or solid fuel of other types. I know things. I have experience. I have 23 years experience designing, engineering, developing, and building experimental rock frames and launching them. A lot of what I launch, half of what I launch is actually successful, but I need the resources. I can't make a living if I can't sell these rocket airframes on Amazon because I can't gain access, because I can't get past the pickiness, the finickiness, the protocols, and the hang-ups of the website that introduces and sets up user accounts, seller accounts on Amazon. So Jeff, I had no criticism. It's just kind of a plea. So I don't know what else to tell you. We're at 17 minutes, me going off on the politics. But I tell you what, I do want to do this. Let's just get started with this. Again, my name is Jason Wampler. This is supposed to be the Rocket Minute, but at 17 minutes, we haven't spent a minute talking about rockets. I'm just trying to earnestly reach out to Jeff. Jeff Bezos, if you're going to contact me in a manner that actually works. Something that's well engineered and actually works. My name is Jason Wampler. My phone number is area code 949-355-4700. It's a commercial phone number in a 949 area code. I'm based out of Fullerton, California, near the Fullerton Airport. I've walked past it a couple times. My email is WACA, Wampler Advanced Commercial Aerospace 2023 at yahoo.com or Jason David Wampler Armstrong at yahoo.com. I have a couple of other accounts too, but they're just, so I can have a Gmail account so I can access and download apps off of Google Play. And I appreciate what Google does. I really do. I love those guys as well. I love everybody unless they really screw up. But Jeff, you have my contact number. Give me a call. Shoot me a text. Drop me a line. Send me an email. I'm here. Okay, I can show you a better way of doing things. And by the way, I can make rockets out of parts found in a hardware store. It's not that difficult. Jeff, watch the internet. A guy used 4-inch diameter, 1/8 wall PVC. That's big and it's thin and it's tough. He put 4 fins on it. He didn't even set the fins up right. His electronics and telemetry and electronics, his electronics bay was sloppy. It's like it was set up by a 6-year-old kid. He put a motor in it that was modified black powder magnesium, something that I know how to do as well, and the damn thing got into orbit. He was taking pictures of the planet, not just the curve of the Earth, the actual globe, the actual planet itself. He got that rocket into orbit. high Earth orbit to where you were far enough away from the Earth you could actually see the entire globe itself. And he did that out of hardware store parts and some stuff from an electronics store. Okay, so aerospace is related to rocketry and heavy launch vehicles, light or medium launch vehicles, sounding rockets, which is what I do. It's not financially inaccessible if you know how to do things. Right now, everything's excessively expensive. You mentioned the word Jeff Bezos or Blue Origin or launch vehicle. All of a sudden, people get dollar signs. They get gold dust fever and they want to jack up the price of a 5-cent bolt to about $55. And they stick it to you. I can put an end to that. I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm not afraid of death. I can't afford to be. Cowardice being a coward is inconvenient. I can't do that. I cannot afford to be afraid or worry about things. I've got to press forward. Okay, and I'm pitching the U.S. government for a multi-million-dollar grant for research and development of VTOL aircraft, hybrid-powered aircraft, because electric aircraft are not going to work. Mark my word. I've already tried it. So anyway, so that's that. So we're at 20 minutes. We still haven't talked about the rockets. Oh my word. And I have about 20 minutes before I have to be online for a teleconference call. So here we go. So last night where we left off, we had this truncated section, but I ran out of clear resin, as you can see. I'm just going to go ahead and stand over here and sit down because the wind is coming out of my lungs. I tell you what I'm going to do. I was working on this last night, and I'll work on it today. Tell you, the more you talk, the drier your mouth gets. So here's what I did. Last night, this tube was not attached. I do still have to surface condition the upper section of the tube. I do want to cut it short. I did demonstrate the fact that I can cut this short. Assemble is, roughly put the sections together like this and make a determination of exactly how long is sensible. Folks, when I'm teaching how to build rockets, one thing is really, really, really important. And sound, sensible reasoning determines that if you're like me, if you're an industrial design engineer and a college dropout with a free spirit and a go for broke style approach to life, it's kind of a bad combination. A little bit too much risk is not good. You tend to develop ways of getting around the hard stuff. Sometimes people who have the mentality want to set up clubs, they want to set up rules. There are so many law books and rules that people like to make rules. Well, get around those rules and develop something that looks sensible. This kind of looks like a little bit long. However, let me attach the motors and we'll make the determination based on our perception of what does and does not look sensible. And also what I did last night, in addition to connecting this section here with these motor tubes, upper motor tubes here, to the upper section here, I don't know if you can see this. I'll just take off my glasses. Well, I can't see anything without them, but I really can't see anything with them too. We use a double-sided tape to shim up. I did that in 2 sections so that the upper base wouldn't toggle around. You need 2 points separated by about roughly the width of the two pieces of shim tape to begin with, so that you have, again, you have that proportional extension where the upper part doesn't bounce around. You want this airframe to be strong. You want it to be light. I'm kind of losing the battle on light, but this airframe is definitely going to be strong. It's workable. I am committed to launching this, so we're going to see that as well. So you'll be able to see my successes and failures. But what I did last night is I used double-sided tape. My supply is being depleted, but it got to the point. This stuff has a certain width to it. It got to the point where, like, if I wrapped it one more time, I'd have to oil it down, I'd have to hyper compress it, and just kind of roll it in. It'd be really tight fit. But I decided I don't want to do that anymore because it's uncomfortable. Because if you oil this double-sided tape down and the oil runs off, which it will, the double-sided tape will get its tackiness back, and then you'll be locked in place. And if you have to pull hard enough to actually break the airframe, you can end up with what's called a Frankenstein rocket. And at that point in time, you cannibalize whatever you can off the rocket airframe that you wanted to launch. You wanted to finish the launch, and you build something else. So you start all over again. And it's sometimes that's okay. It can be exciting. Most of the time, it's discouraging. I'm also teach you the rule of proportions. I'm going to also teach you how to use your head and start building stuff in your imagination. Start visualize what you want to build and then start building it. And you know what? If people say, "Oh, I can't do that. That sounds complicated," I bet you 100 to 1 odds. It's going off 100 to 1 odds. Well, I mean, it's a certain bet. There have to be other people out there like me. They just don't know how to articulate or approach expressing themselves the same way I do. And God forbid there's more than one Jason Wampler on this planet, because one is one too many as far as what this planet really needs. Haha. But I went to double-sided tape. It was going to get too wide with another layer. So what did I do? Well, my goodness, that electrical tape, hard to find to begin with. And I think I see it right now here. I had some electrical tape. Electrical tape is also a shim material. Two bonuses with wrapping electrical tape around the double-sided tape. Number one, the backside of electrical tape is smooth. And number two, it's very, very thin. So if you have an area between the outer diameter of the shims, the inner diameter of the tube you're mating the smaller diameter body section to, you can shim it up with a smaller shim. Similar concept to old American cars, muscle cars. They had various thickness of shims for starter motors on the Chevy 350s. And Chevy put a lot of shims between the upper control arm, the actual ladder frame of the vehicle, which is scary. These are stamped horseshoe pieces of iron. They're the only things between the bolt, the upper control arm, and the frame of the vehicle. Controls the front wheel. 100 miles an hour with a 500 horsepower engine. The whole family inside the vehicle, an automatic transmission, on the road to Vegas, and those shims are holding everything together, or at least spacing things apart with the bolt holding everything together. Shaky proposition, but shims in this case, I'm going to have to draw a picture to show you what I mean. This is thinner and smooth outer surface. If I shimmed it up, you overwrap it until you know it's going to be too tight. Then you start subtracting sections of 2, 3, and 4 inches until it fits in. You want it to adjust, rolls and slides in with a little bit of tension. You don't need to sand the backside of the tape. And then from there, you go ahead and pull it back out after you check the fit of both composite shims on a reasonable section, upper portion section of this gray part, transition fuselage, that's gray PVC. And then from there, you just kind of pull it out, clean it off, get a rag down there and clean the inner diameter. So you don't want to glue things to kitty hair. There's Paxton and Valencia, she's buying the green box. You want a surface that's actually the surface of the plastic itself. Run yourself a little circle of cyanoacrylate. Another secret about cyanoacrylate, before I get back to details of assembling the lower transitional fuselage, the upper one, cyanoacrylate needs several things. Okay, it needs sunshine, it needs heat, it needs 0% humidity, and it needs patience. Sunshine, no humidity, and a lot of heat, dry heat. And I got to tell you, if you set, here's the difference between epoxy and the super glue, or epoxy. Yeah, epoxy is a two-part. It requires sometimes it requires more than 2 other elements, which makes it a real pain in the butt. Epoxy requires a resin. That's basically similar to tree sap or Dow chemical version of synthetic tree sap. And there's nothing wrong with that. Epoxy is wonderful. The catalyst, well, to be honest with you, I think that epoxy is relatively environmentally friendly. Not 100%, but it's a pain in the butt to mix. 50 and 50. You can't go 49 and 51. If you're off in your mixture, either the epoxy will set and take too long to set, or it won't set at all. You'll have stiff gelatin cubicles, or it'll set too quickly. It says 30 minutes set time, then you're taking your time, so you try to put things together within 15 minutes, and guess what? Epoxy's already set up because you put too much catalyst in, and now you're locked in position. You're back to that same situation I told you about, where you basically say, I can't fix this without Frankensteining the rocket. I might as well cannibalize it, start over, and build another. I don't need problems in my life. Cyanoacrylate, 0% humidity, sunlight. You need direct sunlight with 0% humidity, a lot of heat. And that's it. The sunlight, the heat, 0% humidity, and then the fourth thing, of course, is patience. Don't use accelerators to cyanoacrylate. I don't know if you know what those are, but it's a certain type of chemical. Zap Chemical Company makes it. You get it at hobby stores. It's very expensive. It's convenient if you're doing emergency repairs, but it shortens the life of cyanoacrylate. The cyanoacrylate super glue, if you use it right, there's no two-part mix to it. It's relatively less expensive than epoxy. It's much easier to use. However, the setup circumstances and conditions are much less mistake friendly. You cannot mess up with it with super glue. You've got to be careful how you lay it up. Don't use gel. Gel does not flow. It does not seep. It doesn't fill in the gaps. Use stuff that's in between the gel and liquid. Stuff that's too watery and too thin is going to be impossible to work with. You'll place it on the surface, it'll disappear, and it'll leak through micro holes on the surface and it'll get on your denims and glue your denims to your leg, pull your hair out, and cause you to bleed. And you're like, where did it go? Because it's so thin, it disappeared off the surface. Oh, there it is, and your finger sticks to the surface. So now you got denim sticking to your thighs, pulling out your hair. You got a finger stuck to one of the upper motor sections on a rocket. You're cussing and swearing like a sailor. Don't do that. Get the stuff, if you're going to work with cyanoacrylate super glue, I would recommend something that is in between. Gel and liquid. Harbor Freight makes stuff, 10 packs of 3 to 4 time use super glue. What is it? $2 for 10 tubes of the regular super glue. $3 for the super glue gel. I don't know why they want to charge more for gel. Gel is smaller applications. I've just grown accustomed to the stuff that has the viscosity of high quality maple syrup. It's actually really thin. So anyway, so composite transitions. I explained to you the real proportions, the width of the shims on the upper part, the transition fuselage, the transition section with smaller diameter fuselage joins with other. The rule of thumbs is the width of the composite shims itself, the tape, because electrical tape and double-sided tape are both almost the same width. The double-sided tape you get from Harbor Freight is a little wider. They also sell 10 packs of this stuff. I kid you not, $3 or $4. You can get a whole 10 pack of electrical tape to last you an entire year for $5. Come on, you can't beat that. You have to know how to bargain shop. The other thing I did last night, and I was up till 5 o'clock in the morning. I shouldn't even really say last night. I was on this until 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning. I'm kind of getting fed up with how little time I'm actually able to spend on these videos and building these rockets and instructing things. And the thing is, I don't want to do fabrication on mine. I feel it is kind of a waste of time, at least right now. And the other thing is I'm going to be selling whole rockets and fabricated rocket kits. So, why spend your time explaining to someone how to set up a machine shop and make these parts yourself, if I'm not going to be doing that, on these videos. If I did a video, and I had a whole day video, and I'm talking 8 to 10 hour video, it'd take me 5 hours to edit and about probably 24 hours to upload, but I could do it. I could shoot a 10-hour video with my phone plugged in, the engine running, the inverter running, do it outdoors, and I would still probably get only one rocket finished, 80 to 90%. It would be a 10-hour long video, edit it down to 5 hours. I'm not going to do that. The reason I need so long is I'd be actually cutting, fabricating, and square cutting the pieces, showing you how to set up a shop, and setting up the materials in the shop, setting up shop equipment so you get right angle cuts in the ends of the tubes. So, but I did that. I also installed the upper motor that secures the male MPT fittings. I did use fiberglass. I wrapped fiberglass and I taped it, but I had to shim it down. I overwrapped on both of them, which is kind of not the best thing to do because fiberglass tape is a different beast. It is a very difficult type of material to handle, and I'm going to tell you right now, you got to practice with this stuff. It's not like electrical tape. Electrical tape takes remedial practice to handle, and you still have to know some things. Same thing with double-sided tape. It can be frustrating if you mess up. The stuff is designed to stick to surfaces and not let go, so it'll make you upset. This stuff, you have to have experience before and after and during. You have to practice with this material. I'm going to show you some techniques because it's a specialized type of shimming material. only for motor tube applications. The lower half of the motor tube, which actually houses the motor, a reloadable motor, and the upper tube, which is kind of, gives it structural strength and connects it to the airframe. In between are these female and male MPT connectors, and when you set things up in a high pressure, high temperature area, you want to migrate towards, instead of using double-sided tape or electrical tape, something which is generating a lot of pressure and heat and high fast movements. I mean, you might want to consider using this fiberglass tape. It requires a sense of craftsmanship. You know what? These series of videos, which are never ending, they are designed for the craftsman. They're designed for the enthusiast. It's often said that sometimes hobbies can turn into professions. Well, in my case, that's absolutely true. So the other thing I did, I wrapped these and I installed these. It took about roughly an hour. It wasn't that bad, and I'm getting it down pat. But the other thing is not just wrapping it and getting it to hold. It's actual materials handling of this stuff to begin with. And I'm kind of thinking that a tool or a mechanism to dispense this properly might be more beneficial. My application, I'd actually think I should put this in a bandsaw and cut it in half, because I only used a half down the middle of all the material I removed. You don't want to take half off a whole roll of this fiberglass tape. I got this, by the way, at the 99-cent store for $1 a roll. I don't think they have any more rolls. They just do buyouts. You can find it somewhere else where they sell fiberglass and plastic fabrication supplies. Best of luck to you. You might want to try oh my goodness, I can't. Paragon Plastics in Tustin on McFadden, near, I think, Main Street in Santa Ana, next to the railroad tracks, and the Burger King is shut down. Another story on that one. And they might be able to get you stuff. In fact, I'm pretty sure they would. There's another place, they gave me sheets of fiberglass, but it was scattered. It was scattered fiberglass. It wasn't web. And they were just using that for the inner sides of fiberglass fixtures, outdoor and indoor, and jacuzzis. These guys are amazing. I mean, they really know their business. They're very, very specific in what they do and who they cater to. So fiberglass with cyanoacrylate, or fiberglass with not polyacrylic, but catalyst, tree sap, catalyst. There's a catalyst, and then there's the whatever the other stuff is called. I'm going senile, that's what I'm forgetting. That's probably the ultimate. But like I said, epoxy resin catalyst. It's just a real pain. It's not worth it. You go through little sticks. You have to mix it on the surface. So what do you do with the surface when you're done with it? You want to keep it. You got to crack the crap off it. It's just too much trouble. So cyanoacrylate under the right circumstances with the fiberglass tape. And in fact, when I get the resources, I'm going to explore the possibility of getting more of this fiberglass tape and spiral wind it around a very, very thin shipping tube from FedEx or Staples or whatever. And I get myself cut it in sections, get myself an oversized wood lathe, and really start trimming this stuff down. But before I do that, I'd like to somehow, some way vacuum bag it while injecting a bunch of cyanoacrylate. So cyanoacrylate instead of fiberglass, again, 0% humidity, lots of daylight, UV light, and lots of heat, around 95 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Let it set up on its own, don't mess around with it, and take it out. I'm kind of thinking it'll be heavier and more brittle, but I'm positive you set up cyanoacrylate correctly, it is as strong as, if not stronger than, certain forms of epoxy. Epoxy is a royal pain in the butt. It turns me off from vacuum bagging and making my own fuselage tubes. So I'm going to explore that instead. I need something that's going to even out the surface. I can go across with a chisel and just smooth out the surface, and go across with block sander and smooth that surface, and somehow figure out how to inject or vacuum through cyanoacrylate over the tube. By the way, cyanoacrylate, its other drawback, besides the fact, if you're going to be working with that cyanoacrylate, myself included, I'm going to have to do it somewhere with upstairs neighbors. The fumes will actually kill you. So it's a funny story when you get when you get the gas chamber, it's sodium cyanide, which is a relative of cyanide, cyanoacrylate, and that stuff is a tablet dropped in a bucket of water. The gases are what kill the individual. They're in gas. That's how the gas chamber works. So I did two of those. The other thing I did, I went and I got some clear RGB silicone sealant. Again, $1 at the 99-cent store. Now these 99-cent store, they're backing off on the throttle in a sense that they're lowering prices of some staple items, and they're drawing crowds in. I've just got a few more minutes before you have to get tied in on Zoom with that special online meeting. So the third thing I did is this. I went ahead and used that clear the clear silicone. Silicone has somewhat of a lengthy setup time, but before I did that, I left one side open. The other side, I just put a little string of super glue in as well. No accelerant, and it did leak out the bottom a little bit and contaminated one of my rags. And there's little spots here and there that I'll sand it off where it catches the rag. So you're trying to wipe the stuff off a really well prepared surface. Guess what? The cyanoacrylate on that particular environment will set up almost instantly and bond the rag to the plastic. When you're trying to wipe it off, the stuff that's actually doing that to begin with. Anyway, catch 22. So there's what I need to do. Is what I'm going to do tonight. This is going to serve as the launch lug. This was the center tail before I decided I can't do that. This is going to be the launch lug for the launch rod, which is going up this section here. I'm going to install that while I'm on the video conference. And as well, we are going to go ahead and cut slope sections out of the top of these rocket motor tubes. I am also going to drive somewhere, maybe put a little gas in my vehicle, and I'm also going to clean this up. But I'm thinking I'll just clean it up real quickly, and I'll just cut out the section that I'm not going to use. And if it's section small enough, which I will do right now, then guess what? I'm just going to toss it. Sometimes it's not worth it to save these extra pieces and parts because and this is my trusted brand new cutter. I really like this thing. It's just the saddle is too big and too slippery. And I use smaller diameter material. And I was thinking, for actually the same price, I got one that was one step smaller, and I wouldn't be fighting a slippery cradle and the tube wanting to walk around crooked. I want square cuts off this thing, and unfortunately, I'm not getting my wish for it, but that's okay. It's a force multiplier as well, and you know what? That is not quite that bad. What I'm going to do is this is going to be the upper section. I need to figure out what I'm going to use as a transition joiner, which is also called a coupler. And I'm going to go to what place is it called? Lowe's. I'm going to go to Lowe's probably tonight after my conference call and see if I can get something that will couple these two. If not, I may have to fabricate something, and that's going to take hours. Two biggest things when you get in larger projects where you can't transition, you can't shim transitions, you got to cut bulk rings. We'll do that too, but I'm telling you right now, that is a tremendous amount of work. You might want to steer clear of that and just go on the internet. It's a rocket builders, parts suppliers. There's a couple of vendors online, including Mad Cow Rocketry, Public Missiles, and some other nice websites, and even Aerotech. That if they don't manufacture centering rings and bulkhead rings, they deal those parts. They sell those parts on behalf of other manufacturers who do. So you can learn more about that. I think I gave you the information on the website. A nice young doctor who told everybody how to calculate center pressure. That's the center of balance of the rocket under dynamic circumstances when it's going throughout its flight. That is the single most critical calculation and calibration of the rocket you can do, besides figuring out the thrust to weight ratio and duration between burnout phase, apogee, and when you want the recovery system to deploy the parachutes to recover the rocket safely. So 1, 2, 3, you got those three calculations, center pressure being the most important, Because without that, you're just not even going to get off the ground, and you're going to create a dangerous hazard. So anyway, my name is Jason Wampler. This has been the Rocket Minute. I do have to get this video uploaded before I can go on a conference call. So I'm going to call it at this point. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you feel the enthusiasm as well. This piece is too short. I'm going to simply throw in the trash underneath, etc., yada, yada, yada. And that's pretty much that. For the future, you do need a 3/4 inch grinder. Mine is dead. I'll explain how and why, how I killed it. I'm really upset. I'm sad because it was a good Chicago electric, and that thing would have kept going forever, but I messed it up. I'll explain how and why. And tomorrow's episode of the Rocket Minute, your host, Jason Wampler. All right, see you tomorrow, guys.